name is Emily. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. In today's video, we are gonna do my monthly wrap up for the month of April. Now, I feel like I'm gonna talk a lot in this video, so I'm just gonna get like straight in to this video. I do have my reading journal here. I did see a comment about doing a video about my reading journal, and I think I really want to do a like ultimate book video, and I think I'm going to include that in here. But I do a physical reading journal, and I've been doing the scrapbook method. So if my reading journal looks crazy and it's not closing because it's struggling to stay closed, that's why. But I do have some stats in here. But here is my, or like, I don't know where I'm gonna put it on the screen, but here was my April TBR. And I actually got to, technically I got to 5 out of 6 of them, but like read them, I got to 4 out of 6. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But for the stats of April, so I read 6 books in the month of April, but if we were to count DNFs, which I don't do, for like tracking reading goals and like reading how many books I read in a year, I do not count DNFs. I also don't DNF often, but I did have 2 DNFs this month. But like books that I finished, I read 6, and we'll get into the DNFs a little bit too. But for books read, I read a total of 6 books. I read 2,347 pages, which is my lowest. This is my lowest month so far with pages and book count. My average rating was a 4.29, so not bad. I didn't listen to any audiobooks this month, so I do think that was why. Sorry, I need to take off my Apple Watch. It's overwhelming me. I did not listen to any audiobooks, so that is probably why I read less, because I didn't listen to anything. But that means I read 6 physical / Kindle books. For the 2 DNFs, the first book that I DNF'd, and I mentioned this in the video that was books I've been putting off, or like books I've been avoiding, and that was none other than Fear the Flames. If you watched my April TBR video, I had mentioned, and I think I also mentioned in the books I've been avoiding video, that I have tried to read Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling, I think like 3 times physically, and I cannot get into it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna audiobook it. And if I can't get through the audiobook, then it's gonna be a hard DNF, and I'm done. I'm not gonna try again. I'm gonna unhaul this book. I actually need to unhaul it somewhere, but I need to unhaul it. And yeah, I tried the audiobook and I couldn't do it. This was at the very beginning of the month, so I don't remember too much, but I couldn't do it. And I don't like saying I don't like the FMC, but I don't like the FMC. When I was listening to the audiobook, I was like, okay, maybe like I'm finally gonna get to through the audiobook, and like then I can get to the second book, where everyone says that they fucking love the second book. So that was my plan, because people are like, oh, the first book's average, but the second book is phenomenal. I can't get through the first book. In even the audiobook. That's how I know. If I can't get through the audiobook, listen, I like sarcasm in books and I like humor in books. For some reason, this character, her sarcasm and like humor was just not clicking with me. And it felt almost rude from what I can remember. And it's not just the audiobook. Like I felt that in the physical book too, and that's why I was putting it off as well. But it really solidified it with the audiobook that I just do not jive with that character. And also like the sarcasm just felt like it was like forcing the tension or like banter between the FMC and the MMC, and it just, the book felt so forced. Yeah, I don't know why it just felt really forced and nothing felt natural. Yes, it's a fantasy, it's a fiction book, it's not real, but there's like chemistry, and obviously a lot of my favorite books, I'm looking at them, they feel like real people. Like they feel like a real relationship that I'm rooting for, and I just don't. It just didn't feel natural at all. I don't know, it just, I couldn't do it. I did not feel like putting up with a book, like pushing through with a book that I was gonna end up reading 2 stars and then hoping that the like second book was good. I just have so many other books that I like, in series that I want to get to, that I'm in the middle of, that I'm loving, that like I just think it wasn't, I didn't want to waste my time. So I just DNF'd it. Again, I don't DNF often. And when I say DNF, like there's multiple books that I'll like pick up and I'll read 10 pages and then I'll put back down. But like I don't even count that as a soft DNF. I just count it as like trying out a book. But like this book, I think I got to page like 100 and I was like, I can't do it. I cannot do it. And again, I don't DNF very often. So the fact that I had 2 DNFs this month and I haven't had any other DNFs for the rest since the beginning of this year is crazy. But that was the first DNF. I won't harp on it too much. If you loved Fear the Flames, I'm happy for you. I'm actually jealous that you got through it and you are enjoying the second one, I hope. But the second book that I DNF'd was Roommates Wanted by Lisa Jewell, I believe it was called. Now, if you've been keeping up with my channel, I've been reading or like listening to a lot of Lisa Jewell books lately. And I've just kind of been picking up ones that are available on my Libby for audiobook at the time. And Roommates Wanted was one random one. I've heard no one else talk about this book, and I feel like it might be for, I don't know. I feel like this one, I honestly didn't give a fair shot, but what was I saying? I just think I just didn't care. I also don't think I was in the biggest audiobook mood, and like, I just don't think I cared what was gonna happen, and I didn't really like, it didn't feel that like, I don't know if it was a mystery or if it was like a literary fiction, but I just like, I don't think I cared enough about any of the characters to continue. So again, I was like, I don't really feel like wasting my time, so I'm just gonna move on past. So those are the 2 books that I DNF'd. We will get into the books that I actually finished. April feels like so long ago. Like the book that I'm about to talk to, I feel like I read months ago. I don't know why, like it feels like I've read these books so long ago, but I read them in April. Okay, the first book that I completed in April was none other than The Dragon Republic. I ended up rating this a 4.75. This is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. This was so close to being a 5. The only reason that this wasn't a 5 was I just didn't have those 5-star feelings. I didn't have the same 5-star feelings that I had with the Poppy War. So that was the only reason. I adored this book so much. There's something about R.F. Kuang's writing. Well, this is only my second book that I've read by her. But I just love this series, and I can't obviously talk about too much about this book because it is the second one in a series. But there's something so addicting about reading about Rin and the other characters in this story. This was such a good continuation after the Poppy War. The Poppy War, I've heard other people say this, the Poppy War, the first one, feels like 3 books in one because of how much information we get. And I do feel like that in this book as well. This book, the pacing is slightly, and this is not a bad thing, it is slightly slower than the Poppy War. And that's only because the Poppy War's pacing is so insanely fast. We span a large amount of years in the Poppy War. Whereas this like slowed down the timeline. Like the Poppy War was like, I think 10 years. Whereas this is like maybe 2 if I'm remembering, maybe 1 or 2 if I'm remembering correctly. And so it really slowed down the plot and it focused more on it. And that didn't negate from it at all. It just, I think something to note. It did not have middle book syndrome in the slightest. It continued the story beautifully. I said this with the Poppy War, I'm going to say it again with this book, read the trigger warnings, please. There's like really hard topics. I do think this one was easier to read topic-wise, in my opinion, than the Poppy War, but there's still like insanely dark conversations that are important that happen in this. And Rin's exploration of, like, why? the exploration of Rin's character in this is so beautifully done. Rin is one of those characters that I think in this book was also read in my books I've been avoiding video, that she reminds me of Nesta in the sense of like she has very unlikable qualities, but I'm a Nesta girly. Okay, just gonna put that out there. I feel for Rin so hard. Like, I've obviously not gone through what she's gone through, but there's just something about Rin that I just want to like hold her and give her a big hug and just like understand that like she is the way she is because of what she's been through. And this is a great example of leading with trauma. This is a great example of leading from hurt when dealing with trauma. You either deal with heart or hurt. Obviously, that's a very general sense. But I think a lot of main characters, when they deal with trauma or stuff that's happened to them, they lead with heart. They don't want others to go through it. They're more quiet because of it, and they're just more gentle. And I think Feyre's might be a good example of that. Whereas Nesta, and I'm talking about ACOTAR, if you don't know for some reason, but Nesta leads from hurt. And I think that Rin is another good example of leading from hurt. And I love a troubled character. I love characters that have grit. They have problems. They're unlikable. And I do understand why people would not like Rin, or maybe she's not their favorite character, but I really enjoy her because I see her. I see Rin as a character. But there's also very funny, hilarious moments in this. There was so much to it, and I just think it was beautifully done. And I think all that to say, it's like, why isn't it a 5? I just didn't have the 5-star feelings. I don't necessarily know why, but I just didn't. I do think that this will probably end up being a 5-star series. I kind of feel the same way that I felt as I do with the Poppy Wars, I did with Jade City or the Greenbone Saga. I don't know if you can see it over here, but actually none of those books were 5 stars, but the series as a whole I feel like was a 5-star. And I absolutely think that if you enjoy the Poppy War, you'll enjoy the Greenbone Saga and vice versa, because both span like a long amount of time and are so detailed in the characters and the like economics and like the world and like the systems. They're very detailed, and they don't shy away from like hard topics. They don't shy away from having unlikable characters. I would highly recommend this book. I would highly recommend this series. I just have one more to go, and I want to read it soon because I don't think I should put off this series, but I also don't want it to be done. Brother. But yeah, I feel like there was more. I feel like this is not going to be enough. I feel like I said more probably in my avoiding books I've been avoiding video, but I know that there's more I want to say on this book. All right, the next book I read was Half City by Kate Golden. I didn't read this book in any video, so I feel like I have some stuff to talk about. What did I rate this? I ended up rating this 3.75. This book was a whirlwind. Okay, this book was like, oh my god, it was a whirlwind. There was actually moments where I considered DNFing it because I was like, this is like kind of insufferable in moments. Okay, this is about, what is her name? Viv. Viv is in a world where it's like almost like a dystopian or like alternate like New York, where there's like demons, and her dad actually is a demon hunter and gets killed by demons. And she, after he died, takes up demon hunting, or was doing the demon hunting with him, and then picks it up more after he died. And she doesn't realize that there's like a whole demon hunting world. So one day she's like walking home, and this demon comes up to her, and he's a professor at this school for demon hunters. And sometimes it's a little too on the nose. But he tells her like, oh, you don't have to fight alone. You can come to the school, learn how to demon hunt, meet other demon hunters. And those other demon hunters were the redeeming factor of this book. The beginning, I feel like we just didn't have much build up before we were like meeting him. And like she's a demon hunter and she sees this demon professor and she's like, he's hot. Like she like immediately thinks that the demon's hot, but then is like, he's my arch enemy though. And I'm like, girl. And there was a trope where I don't like when the characters start out having a boyfriend and then like have another love interest, but like she has a boyfriend in this and he is irrelevant. It adds nothing to the plot, her having a boyfriend at the beginning. So like I got even more annoyed with that plot point or like that trope when it was like irrelevant. Like I just hit the reflex on my knee. It is irrelevant for her to have a boyfriend. Like I don't know. But I definitely like the beginning was where I like struggled with this book. And like even with Viv as a character, I feel like she was like, she had like a pretty okay life and she was like, besides her dad dying, okay, sorry. But like it feels like she was trying to make it harder for herself. Like she was like purposely like doing stuff to make her life harder and like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It just seemed like, I don't want to say pick me, but like, it just seemed like she was kind of like, woe is me, and like wasn't really doing anything to help it, which like I don't mind, but like, I don't know. It just, something about it rubbed me the wrong way. She goes into the school being like, well, I've been demon hunting by myself for years. Like, kind of acts like, oh, I'm better than them. Like, also, she agrees really quickly to go to the demon hunting school. And like, I don't know, that just felt like, why? I was like, how are you so okay with just going? And then she's like, when she gets there, she's like, well, I guess I'll figure out what happened to my dad. It's just like, I don't know, the plot just didn't make sense at the beginning. I feel like I'm not making sense either. Like she keeps saying, like at the beginning and like of this book and like when she gets to the university, she kept saying that she is really experienced. She's been shadow hunting fires. I'm saying shadow hunting, aren't I? Demon hunting. We'll get to shadow hunting. Demon hunting by myself for years. But then every time she's like paired up with another student or like she goes on a demon, like goes to hunt demons, she gets hurt or like fails or like someone else beats her. And I'm like, you're actually not more experienced than everyone else. And then there was like almost like breaking the fourth wall at the beginning. The like first half really was like a struggle and a kind of a slog for me to get to. This was a really short book though. I read it in 3 days. But the second like half or like the last like 25% really picked up for me and really is where it got me. Especially the side characters in this made this book. Her like friend that she meets, which I'm not remembering her name at all. Sophia. Oh my God. Sophia was she was my favorite character. She's like the hot, pretty blonde friend that you like kind of look at her and you're like, oh, she's probably gonna be bitchy. Oh my God, she was so sweet. I loved her. Sophia was like my favorite character, even more than Viv. Oh my God, I loved her. She was such a redeeming person. The MMC gave me nothing, but we'll get to that. He gave me nothing, but I think it'll be fine because the way that this ended and like knowing, I'm pretty sure this is just a duology, but the second book comes out the end of this year and the ending fucking got me. And I cannot wait to read the next book. Like, that is why this isn't, like, this is a 3.75. Because the last 25% really got me. It really got me excited for the next one. Something about this ending. It was really good. And I was, like, locked in for, like, the last 25%. Yeah, this book just felt like a bit of a roller coaster for me. Like a lot of ups and downs. Like I literally was like thinking of DNFing it, and then by the end I was like, I can't wait for the second one. But I will say this is not the first book that I've read by Kate Golden. I read her Sacred Stones trilogy, and I do feel like in this book and then the Sacred Stones trilogy, her main characters feel so much younger than they are. Like she's like 21. Yeah, 21. And then I think in Kate Golden, I think she's also like 21 or 23. And they feel like 16. Like just the way they act, like not the things they're doing, but like the way they act is just like kind of juvenile. And I don't know, something about like Kate Golden's like characters just always feel a little bit younger for me. If this was a YA, I think this would have been so good. And that leads me like into my next book. Like this does feel like a kind of like more adult version of the Shadowhunters world, or like a more adult version of The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. And especially because of the next book, I just like, it really became apparent that like there were some similarities, not in like a horrible way, but like I just feel like that Kate Golden's probably read The Mortal Instruments and this is more of an adult version of it. I don't think it's a direct plagiarism. I just think it just feels like a little bit relatable. I do think that if you liked Terror at the Gates by Scarlett Sinclair, I do think you would also enjoy this, and like vice versa. Both of them kind of felt like similar in a sense, and just like vibe-wise felt very similar. This is a very, very fast-paced book. If you're looking for a very fast-paced romantasy, urban fantasy, I think that this is a great book to pick up. I think the beginning was just a little bit of a slog for me, but I'm in it now. And I'm like, cannot wait for the second one. I hope I made sense. I really feel like I did not. Leading into my next book I read City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series, hence why I feel like the similarities really got brought out, because it's kind of a similar thing. I can't talk much about the contents of this book because it's the 4th one in a series. The like, I don't know, 7th or 8th book in the Shadowhunters world that I'm reading. I love this book. I ended up rating it a 4.25. And I think that this is my favorite Cassandra Clare book so far. There is something about like getting back into the Mortal Instruments that was just so good. This series is like so nostalgic for me. I don't know why. It's early 2000s New York. Early 2000s I was a child. And I've never been to New York, but it just feels like early 2000s TV shows like Pretty Little Liar, which I should not have been watching when it was coming out, but I did. Pretty Little Liar, Switched at Birth. It just kind of feels like that era. So there's just like some nostalgia to this series. And I read The Mortal Instruments, the first 3 in this series, in 2024, and then read Infernal Devices in 2025. And I've said multiple times, unpopular opinion, I like The Mortal Instruments more than the Infernal Devices. I know. But obviously it had been a while since I'd been back in the Mortal Instruments because of reading the Infernal Devices and whatnot. The beginning of this book made me giddy and like literally itching to just read this series again. And like, I'm so happy that I'm in it. I'm actually, spoiler alert, reading the 5th book in the Mortal Instruments currently. And I'm just loving it. I need to finish the video so I can just go read. But there is just something about this series that I just adore and I find nostalgic and just comforting. There's a lot of side characters in this series. It's not just like focusing on like one FMC and an MMC. There's a lot of side characters, and particularly I really enjoyed Isabella's, is it Isabel or Isabella? Isabel. I was questioning myself. I loved Isabel's character in this. Like, I feel like at the beginning when we first meet Isabel, she's a little bit rough around the edges. I think she's kind of she pushes back, and she does that on purpose. But it was just really refreshing getting her character, and I love her. I love her. I love Simon. I love the side characters. This was just such a good continuation. I'm like, obviously it's like kind of the series is like broken up into like to 2 arcs. Like there's like a first trilogy, and then now I'm in the second trilogy. And I just think it's a great continuation. I don't think I have to harp on and tell you guys to read the Shadowhunters world, because I think everyone does. But it's great. And I'm so happy to be back into this. What are they barking at? All right, the next book that I read was Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rourke. This was a 5-star. This is the first book in the Lady of Darkness series. If you don't know, Melissa K. Rourke has like, well, now I think she has plans for like 9 series within like the Chaosverse. It's kind of like the Shadowhunters world, where there's like multiple series within the Shadowhunters world. We have the Chaosverse, and so she has like the Legacy series, Lady of Darkness, and then now I think it's Touch of Matt. What is that book called? Darkness? Something. There's like a 3rd series that she's starting. But I read the Legacy series, which technically comes after this series in 2025. So I read them out of order, but it's not a big deal. You just get like slight spoilers, but you don't know they're spoilers. But you can read them out of order. But I read the Legacy series first. It's actually right here. And then now I'm going into the Lady of Darkness series, which actually comes before. But anyways, this there's something special about reading this book after I read The Legacy, because I've met a couple of these characters. And so like I kind of know where these characters end up, but I have no idea how they got there. And it's fun. But we are following, I almost said Tessa, that's Lady of Darkness, or that's The Legacy. We are following Scarlet, and we meet Scarlet when she's like staying at this like noble household. I keep saying Tessa. Scarlet and her two sisters are like the lead assassins in this assassin house. And they're like not her actual sisters, they're like just adoptive sisters. But she's been shunned by the assassin lord to this noble household, and we don't really know why. Something happened a year previously, and there was just, everything backfired, everything went wrong. When she's in this noble household, she meets this general and asks him to train her because he has a fighting style that she's never seen. And as she's doing that, one of her sisters comes back and says, you need to help us, like, help the assassin lord again, because children are going missing and we don't know why, and we need your help to find it. The way that we slowly get Scarlet's backstory and her trauma, it is hard. There's parts of it that are hard to read. I read this book in a video. This was in the video of how much I realistically read in a week. That video was fun, and I was just mood reading, and I mentioned like there is talks of SA. With this series and with The Legacy, please also read your trigger warnings. There are really hard topics that are talked about and explored, and I think it's important to protect your mental health. There is a scene of SA in this. It's not crazy, but like it is there. It is hard to read about. I'm very lucky that there's not anything that I know of that like I can't read, or like something that if I read it would trigger me. Like I'm very grateful that I don't have that. What I loved about this book is it just was so beautifully done. The way that we get the way we get Scarlet's character, and then as we learn more about the MMC and like his backstory and like the plot twist and the way that like everything kind of like weaves together and stuff starts to click and make sense. It's just beautifully done. I think Melissa K. Rourke is a genius, especially with how she's intertwined this world and The Legacy, and then now her other series, and then maybe like 6 series after that. That's crazy. I love her writing. Her writing is also really addictive. That's something that I noticed with this, that I had the same with The Legacy, was that I don't want to put down her books, and I catch myself like literally not wanting to do anything but read her books. They are incredibly addictive. Her writing style is addictive. They're fast paced, but you do have to pay attention because there's a lot of like little things that I feel like if you're not paying attention and not reading close enough, that you'll miss and you'll regret it, because then it'll get revealed and you're like, it won't hit as hard. So this was a 5-star. It was phenomenal. I cannot wait to read the next one. The way this left off, I'm like clawing at my cage to read the next one. So hopefully this in May I will be reading it. I feel like I'm not making sense. I'm like having like a little bit of brain fog. Like every time I film wrap-up videos, I'm like having a migraine. Then we had another back-to-back 5 stars. We have Nightshade by Autumn Woods. This was also a 5-star. This is so unlike other books I read. If you follow me, or if you can see my bookshelf, if you've seen my Fable, my TBR, I am mainly a fantasy reader, if not only a fantasy reader. I dabble in different genres of fantasy, like subgenres of fantasy. Dark academia fantasy, I love an urban fantasy, I love a romantasy, I love a high fantasy, I love a sci-fi. Like I kind of delve everywhere. This is a romance. This is like a dark academia. I thought that this was like a dark romance. I haven't read any other dark romance, but I would say it's safe to say that this is like a dark academia romance with like a little bit of mafia. But we meet Ophelia Winters, and her parents had tragically, randomly died in a helicopter accident. And after they died, she's like pretty sure that it was set up by this mafia boss. And so she gets a scholarship to this university in Scotland, where her parents used to work, and she's hoping to go there to get more answers into how her parents died and like why there was a setup for her parents to like, you know, like why did they try to like off her parents, you know? She goes to this university to like try and figure it out, and also try and get her life together because it's been a mess. And she meets Alex Corbo Green. Oh my god. And he is actually the son of the mafia boss that she thinks is responsible for her parents' death. And they kind of become reluctant allies. They have to work together on a school project, and then they become kind of like an alibi for each other with a murder. It's on the back. I don't know if I just have nothing to compare this to, but this had drugs in these pages. This is a 6-star. Like, I think about these characters all the time. I cannot wait for the next book. I think it comes out this summer and I will be reading it immediately. I think it's just going to be a duology, but I think I would read a lot about these characters. This, oh my god, this was so beautifully done. The like tension at the beginning, and like they kind of dislike each other at the beginning. Literally the first chapter, he like almost hits her with his car, and he's like, just get in the car and I'll drive you, because it's like raining. And it was like their banter immediately, they don't even know each other's name, and their banter was so good. And like their dislike at the beginning to then like love, and like the way they care for each other. Oh my god, Alex is my, like, I think I need to make an MMC, like favorite MMC list, because he's up there now. There is something about him. Oh my god, he is amazing, and the way he is with Ophelia is just so sweet, and I just feel for Ophelia. And also like the like representation of like depression, especially within men, was so beautifully done with Alex. I honestly think they could have done a little bit more with that, but the like snippets we get, I think, was very beautiful representation. And the ending, the cliffhanger that it left on, like literally like rip my heart out and stomp on it. Literally rip my heart out and stomp on it, because it was a knife to the chest. But I don't know, I need more books like this. I am considering reading a little bit more dark romance, but I don't want like the romance to be dark. I want it to be more like a darker setting, like a dark academia, mafia. Also, she has a stalker. That's another thing. She has a stalker, and we don't know who. I mean, I do, but that was another thing. Like, I want like the dark elements. I don't want the romance to be dark. I want the romance to be sweet, and like he's morally gray, but he's like only sweet to her, you know? Like, but I don't want the like romance to be dark. I want the romance to be healthy in somewhat, and like a dark setting, and like a mafia setting. So like if you have any more recommendations for like books like this, or like that description, let a girl know, because I think I would eat it up. I kind of want to read Insatiable, because I hear everyone talk about it. I know nothing about it, but I'm like, I think I need to read it. So I think that might be my next delve into darker romance, or even just romance in general, because I literally never read romance. This was, spoiler alert, that my favorite book of the month. I think this book has kind of put me into a little bit of a reading slump. I think I'm like over it now, but it put me into like I've been in and out. Whoa. Whoa, slow down. I've been in and out like of a reading slump, I feel like, all year, but this did not help. I had a book hangover. I want to reread this book now. This had drugs in it. This was by far my favorite book of the month. Oh my god. I wish I tabbed this book, because it was so beautifully done. Oh my god. And I also love the writing, and it just, Alex Corbo Green is like such a sweetheart. And I also loved Ophelia. I thought Ophelia was so cute. I just love them. I love them. I cannot wait for the next book. I don't think I have to wait too long, so I'm excited. And then for the last book that I read in April was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And I rated this a 3. I don't know about my rating on that. I don't know how to feel about this book, because I truly don't think that this is a bad book. I don't think this book was for me. Okay, I think I had different expectations for this book. In this book, we meet Kel, and he is like, what is he? He's an Antari, which is a magician, and he's able to travel. It's kind of like a multiverse kind of situation, but like I thought it was going to be cooler than that. Where he can travel between different types of London. So there's like red, white, black, and gray London. And every London has like it's like slightly different. Red London is like rich in power, or no, rich in like magic, and it's like very healthy. Gray London barely has any magic. It's kind of dreary. I feel like it's more like the closest to like nowadays London, but it's like in the 1800s. And then we have White London, which I think abuse their power and like doesn't really have any, and like their people are starving and it's kind of rough. And then we have Black London, which like I think was just destroyed. Now went into this thinking like, oh, it's like a multiverse situation, and I don't know why. I just assumed, which is my fault, that it was like modern day. So it was like an urban fantasy, but like modern day, like London, and we would be seeing other aspects. I didn't expect it to be like King George III time, like in the 1800s. I feel like the setting was really hard for me to picture. Like, I don't know if it was just my fault, and like if I just had a book hangover from Nightshade, or like if it just something wasn't working for me where I could not picture this book. And it didn't feel atmospheric, and I didn't really feel like I was in the book. Like, I just felt like I was reading words on paper, which I am, but it really felt like that. Nothing big happened until like the 200-page mark. Again, I don't know if I just was like, just not the time or place for this book, and it was just like the reading mood that I've been in. But this book did not connect with me, and I did not care by the end of it. I did not care what happened. I don't care to continue the series. I actually, like, it was such a hard book for me to get through that I ended up audiobooking the rest of it, which I normally don't do. Like, I don't normally like have a book that I read physically and listen to the audiobook at the same time. I'm either, this book I'll read all in the audiobook or all in a physical book. I don't really split it up, but I found myself, luckily it was available on Libby, I just needed to listen to it to kind of finish it, because I was so far in that I was like, you know what, maybe the ending will get me and I'll continue the series. Like, I'm so far into this book. It's a short book. It's like 400 pages. Lila was a little bit of a redeeming quality. I thought she was pretty entertaining. I thought she was hilarious. But that was all I cared about. I rated this a 3. Typically books like this, and I'm like, I just don't care. It wasn't interesting to me. It didn't keep my attention. It wasn't atmospheric to me. It would normally be like within the 2 to 2.5 star range. But that's when it's like I think it's a bad book. I truly don't think that A Darker Shade of Magic was a bad book. I just don't think it was the book for me. That's where it's like a 3 star, and I feel similarly that I did with A Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. That was also a 3, where I was like, I'm reading words on paper. And like, I know that this is not a bad book. I just don't care, and I feel the same with this book. Please don't let it put you off of this book. I just don't think it jived with me. I don't think it clicked. I think I was expecting something different, and it just wasn't that. That's my own fault. Yeah, I just didn't care. We just are ending off on a bad note again. I feel like I did this in the month of March as well. Those are all the books that I read in the month of April. If you are still watching up to this point, thank you so much for being here still. You are a real one. If you like this video, and if you would like to see more from me, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean the world to me. But I will stop talking. My voice is raw. I want to lay down and read. I will love you and leave you. Goodbye.